All right, so I'm off this thing I just put together. So I spent the last 40-ish minutes or so putting together a new call to action that's now live on wfreelancing.com. So I had been using Rightbar, which is one of the tools we have at Right Message. That is just kind of like a sticky bar at the top. But I wanted something that historically has done well for me, namely a end of article footer call to action. So I finally built one. I finally went through, designed it. It didn't take too long to design, probably about 30 minutes. And for the last 30, 40 minutes, I've been personalizing it based on a lot of different factors. Namely, did they come from search? Are they a designer? Are they a marketer? Are they solo? Are they an agency? Have they not started a business yet? And so on. And so all these possible combinations have emerged from that. But what I want to start by an example. So I want to show you kind of tangibly what I've done. So I'm running Right Ask on the site. So you see this little pop-up down here, that's Right Ask. I've been collecting a bunch of data over the last 2 weeks or so that I've had it live. And I have this pretty good idea of what my audience is, how my audience is composed. So, how many people are developers, about 25%, designers, 16%. How big is your company, solo, agency, haven't yet started. And then what do they want? Do they want help with courses, business courses? Do they want to gain additional skills? They want community, mentorship, and so on. So I'm using Right Ask to do this. And Right Ask is really nice because what it does is these are all segments. Everything you see here are segments within Right Message. So if somebody comes to the site and we have in, say, my drip account that they are an agency, they're not going to be prompted, are you an agency? Or if they came from say they came from Hacker News, sends me traffic, I'm not going to ask them what kind of work you do. I'm going to I'm going to assume that they're a developer. I know that's not fully accurate, but for the purposes of what I want, which is more conversions, it's accurate enough. So I have a lot of different behavioral cues like landing page or like referring domain or whatever else that segment people, but I also use Right Ask. So Right Ask, you see it down here. So I'm assuming this is incognito. I came directly to the homepage. I'm going to tell it that I am a marketer, and I'm an agency, and I am looking for community. So I answered these 3 questions, right? So what's going to happen now is when I go through the site, articles and guides for marketing agencies, I see front and center on the articles page. Our focus is to help agencies, blah, 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 blah. You even see stuff like starting an agency, project management for agencies. So I kind of rebrand or rename the categories even though on the fly to make it more appropriate for the visitor. I also do things like on the products page, in-depth training for marketing agencies. So like I start to, I'm personalizing content, right? So I'm personalizing the course index page along with the articles index page and so on. But what I just added is I added at the footer of every article this new opt-in, right? That says, hey, marketing agency owner, you and your team deliver amazing ROIs for your clients, blah, blah, blah. So it's very focused on marketers and agency owners in this case. So I want to show you how I did this. So if I get rid of this incognito session and go back to this page, this is the default right here. So I'm going to exit out of that. This is the thing that like normal traffic who I don't segment in any way is going to see. This is what I built. This is what is part of the website's template. And what I've done in Right Message, let me pull up this article. I want to go to navigation mode. So what I've done is I've made it so within Right Message, I'm personalizing things like the testimonial, the enroll button, the heading here, and this content based on all these different kind of stages, right, or segment options. So I have things like if they came from search, and how do I define search? Well, if they came from Google or Bing or any of these sites, then what's going to happen is when they get to the end of the article, it's going to say, hey, hold up, before you head back to a mountain of dubious search results, why sit through a bunch of articles when you can join a free 9-lesson course that's helped 25,000, blah, blah, blah. So this is targeting people who came from a search engine. But then let's say I get somebody who has self-identified as a marketer and they're solo. Well, what are they going to see? They're going to see, hey, freelance marketer, you deliver amazing ROIs for your clients, and so on. Now, let's say somebody shows up who completes right ask or behaviorally acts in such a way that puts them into the design agency segments. Well, what are they going to see? They're going to see, hey, design agency owner, do you think you and your team are being paid what you're worth? Do you want to hike up your prices without being sleazy? So again, it uses language, it uses kind of tone that reflects who I'm speaking to. So an agency owner is going to have different concerns, or a design agency owner is going to have different concerns than a solo developer, right? So I went through and I just using right message, I rapid fire went through and changed basically this text here, and all of this changes depending on which of these segments you're in, right? So I don't know how many is this. I've done like 24 of these, and what the hypothesis is that people are going to see this. So if let's say you are a writer and you have not started yet, when you're reading an article, you're going to see wanted people who are ready to start a freelance writing business, ready to jump headfirst in the wild and wonderful world of freelance writing. Before you do that, you should do this, blah, blah, blah. So it's speaking directly to somebody who has told me, I'm a writer, but I haven't yet started. So the call to action across the site is going to reflect who they are, what they've told me. So this is really cool. I'm really optimistic that this is going to work really well. And I've gone even further and made it so that if they are, let's say they have bought, let's say that they are on my list, but they have not bought anything. Well, I want to pitch them on WF Freelancing, right? So for this segment, it's going to say, go premium, master the art of landing high quality, high value projects. And then even the testimonial changes. So now the testimonial down here, which was this, this testimonial about the email course, now the testimonial is about the course that the paid course, WF Freelancing, right? So here's a quote from Maya and so on. So that's this testimonial is now directly reflecting the thing being presented, where now instead of the enroll now for free, which went to the email course, now it's going to WF Freelancing rate. And if somebody who is already a customer of WF Freelancing rate is looking at the site, they're going to see love WF Freelancing rate, see what else we have. And this is going to really point to our product catalog for now. Later on, I'll have more stages of that funnel, or if they bought this but haven't bought that, it'll say this. But this is good for now. So if they bought WF Freelancing rate, but there's other stuff they haven't bought, it'll say this. And then here we have a quote from somebody who's generally talking about my products that I have. So how I did this, just to quickly show you what I've done, is so all of these map to segments that I've set up in Right Message. And again, it's all point and click. I just clicked on what I wanted to change on the site, whether it be an image or this text or whatever else. And I was able to set that up. Again, it took probably 30, 40 minutes. I don't really time myself, but it was pretty quick. The hard part was coming up with the copy, right? But what I've done is I've made it so I have this CTA funnel segment group here. And all I've done is, if you're a non-marketer agency, what I've done is I've said, if you belong to the business type segment group of marketer and the team size segment group of agency, and you're anonymous, then you're gonna see a non-marketer agency. You're gonna see this right here, right? And what's really nice about this is, since I'm referencing other segments, I'm referencing a segment in this case called agency. Well, we also have a segment called not yet started, right? So I want to go over that and I want to show you something. So I have this not yet started segment, and right now it's only defined as having backend data in my drip account of team size set to NA. So this is if they have, if I have data stored in drip and they have clicked a trigger link saying I haven't started yet, or they used right ask then stored in their drip record team size and set it to NA. But what's really cool about this is I have a article here, one of my most popular articles that gets me a ton of traffic. That's a guide to starting a freelancing business. Well, I can probably safely assume that people reading this guide are going to be in the not yet started segment, right? So all I need to do is I can add here, I can say if, Oh, you know what? Somebody else on the team was just modifying this. Let me reload this. All right, so I can say if the original landing page, here we go, equals this article, right? So if they land here, or what if they land in this category of content? So I have this category here where I'm also targeting people who are probably searching, how do I start a freelancing business or something like that. So I'm going to say if they landed on that article, or they landed on this index page. So let me just get rid of this. If any of these are true, then they're going to be in the not yet started segment. And what's really nice is all of these CTA fund, or all of these segments here of not started reference that segment. So if I update that segment, everything here that references that is going to be updated in real time. So now if somebody lands on this page from Google, and then they were to go over to and say click design, right, and then go to an article and see something, they're gonna see wanted freelance designer wanted new freelance designer or whatever it says, right? Let me actually figure out what it says. So if they're designer and haven't started, wanted people who are ready to start a freelance design business. So I'm really excited about this because what it's doing is I'm combining survey data and behavioral data to make it so that when somebody is looking at a end of article call to action, it is going to on the fly modify itself, modify the heading, modify the supporting content, and even if they are further down the funnel, where it goes to depending on who they are and so on. And I want to show you one more thing actually before I hang up. So let's say they again click design and it's just me and this, right? So I'm muddying up my data, but it's just a few bits, so I'm not too worried about that. So I already showed you that if they go here, in-depth training for freelance designers, if they go to articles, articles and guides for freelance designers, they come here. Let's say they go to join let me actually go to an article. So if they go and they see this, right? Hey, freelance designer, blah, blah, blah. They click enroll now for free. It's still carrying on that freelance designer thing. And I'm not asking them here what kind of work they do. I'm asking them, what's the struggle that you're facing right now and what your email address is, but I'm not going to ask them what kind of work do you do. Now, if I were to get rid of this session and go directly back to that opt-in page, you'll notice it's asking right here, what kind of work do you do? Designer, web, mobile developer, programmer, and so on. So this is really, really interesting because again, I'm basically creating continuity of experience from beginning to end. So you show up from a design blog, you land on a article about starting a business, you're going to start seeing content, copy and such that's super relevant, hyper relevant to you. And the best part is everything I just showed you, that dynamic call to action took probably 30 minutes to set up max. And maybe again, 40 minutes, I don't know. But this is permanent. Like I just did this in my off time. And now I'm going to go back to doing right message stuff. And now I'm going to get, I'm presuming I'm going to get, if it's anything like when I last did this manually before I did the redesign of WP Freelancing, I'm going to be getting a significant bump in conversions, which means more money. And it took a total of, about 30, 40 minutes to set up once. And now people going to the site from Google who, come from referral traffic, whatever, they're going to start getting language that's more specific and relevant to them. They're going to be more likely to opt in, and they're going to ultimately be more likely to buy from me, which is good for me, good for them, and so on. So again, this is the sort of stuff that I if it's not obvious, I completely geek out on all of this. I really wish more people would stop doing one size fits all, optimized for anonymous traffic. I blame a lot of the call to action tools and plugins because they don't make it easy, and they kind of recommend really a shotgun effect of let's just spray and pray and hope it just works. So again, if you want to get, I'd love to, my team would love to help you get this up and running on your blog, on your site. If you're doing any sort of content marketing and you like the idea of getting more conversions, getting more down funnel conversions too, this is the way to go. So again, hopefully this helps. I'm available on Twitter if you want to chat about this video or whatever else, but I'll talk to you soon.